Hi everybody and welcome to another episode of Metra AV Tech Tips. As you can tell, I am Adam Rogers, your normal co-host here, but with me today I have Patrick Seibert from JVC. So Patrick, welcome to the show.
Thank you very, very much for having me. I love being in Holly Hill where Metra is. If you ever had a chance to come down here and do the whole tour, they've got an amazing facility with incredible people here, from the 3D modelers that do your dash kits to you and Brent. Like, the entire staff here is fantastic, and it's an incredible facility.
You made sure that he got his check, right, for saying all of this.
Oh,
You were on top of that, right? Okay, cool. All right, just want to make sure. No,
I got the soda.
You got the soda, right? Yeah. Okay, cool. No, perfect. Patrick, thank you so much for that. I really appreciate that.
It's absolutely true.
And honestly, if anybody's ever in town in the Daytona Beach or Holly Hill area of Florida, give us a call. We're happy to give you kind of a little rundown of the place and have you visit some of the sales staff. You can see Brent and I, and some of the other people if you want, and we can kind of show you around. Maybe a little sneak peek of some of the stuff that's coming up that maybe, possibly, but we have to get the okay for that. So, as always, everybody, a like, share, and a subscribe is always helpful for what we have going on. If we did something good for you today, gave you some good information, of course, it's Patrick's fault, and so
or bad information,
or bad information too. With that, give us a thumbs up, give us that like, and share it around. Subscribe and hit the little bell notification to let you know whenever we do go live, which of course is every Wednesday at 3 p.m. Now today's a little different. We're not going to get super far into the technical side of things. This is going to be kind of a this is going to be an opportunity to see how much information I can pull out of Patrick as far as what JVC has going on in the future, which we're getting close to CEDIA, so that kind of most of these companies that are in this market really start kind of getting super tight-lipped
ours
on
too.
things. Yeah,
100% ours, by the way.
All right, so without further ado on that, if you have any questions for Patrick or myself or anything that has to do with AV at all, leave it over here in the chat section on this side if you're watching live, or if you're checking in after the fact, you can leave it down in the comment section below, and we'll make sure that gets over to Patrick as well. Now, Patrick, where else can people find you and the JVC media community or social media and stuff?
We have a YouTube channel called JVC America. We have a Facebook page called JVC USA. So you can visit both of those, and that's going to give you the most up-to-date information about where we're going to be and what we're doing and stuff like this.
Perfect. Yeah, so go check them out over on their social media as well. And then, of course, you can find us on all of the rest of our social media. We're on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. You can find us specifically, the AV Tech Tips, on Instagram at AV Tech Tips. So you can get to us directly. That goes directly to me, Brandon, Will, and Brent. So if you have any questions or if you want to show us some job you're working on.
Instagram downloaded on his phone?
I downloaded it for him. I don't know if he actually uses it, but it's there. So, yeah, we just have to be mindful of what Brent gets up to.
He doesn't try to develop
Instagram.
His phone, does he? Like, he doesn't put it in fluid and try to get the...
No. Yeah, hopefully
He's
not.
a little more skilled than that.
Yeah, exactly. Anyways, all that to say, so today's episode, like I said, is a little different. It's going to be more where we're just going to be talking about, kind of one of the ideas that we wanted to talk about also is where do we see the projector industry going as we get into 8K, as we get into HDMI 2.1 with 48 gigs. Where do we see that part of it going? Which we'll get into that. I don't want an answer right now for that part of it, but that's kind of where we're going for today, and we'll kind of go that direction for that. So everybody sound cool with that? Everybody good?
I'm good.
Cool. All right. So we'll get into it. We'll just kind of get into that. So, Patrick, hit this button here to go on to the next part of it. Before we get into that, tell us a little bit about yourself. How long have you been in the industry? What's your background? All that kind of good stuff.
Actually, I started in car audio in Orlando in the early 90s. And an amazing person named Jeff Marks came and recruited me from JVC. And I started with them almost 4 years ago.
Okay, great.
He hired me as a product trainer, and then now my position's moved into East Coast regional sales.
It seems like the car audio side of the market really is where a lot of really good people come from it's into our industry. At least that's the way that I feel about it anyways. That's where I was working for a car audio shop doing the home installations for myself first, but it kind of seems where a lot of people are coming from. So
problem solvers mostly, right? Like,
yeah.
Car audio guys are usually guys that have to deal with some crap.
Yeah.
And they have to figure out how to make it work.
Yeah,
so.
Exactly. So now, Patrick, you also have your own personal YouTube stuff, and you handle a lot of the YouTube stuff for JVC. Is that correct?
I definitely handle some of it for JVC, and
okay.
yeah, I have my own YouTube channel about board gaming.
Cool. No.
So I'm familiar with what we're doing here.
Okay, cool. Board gaming, nice. All right, cool. So now that we know who Patrick is, let's get into a little bit more of JVC and what's going on with that. So the first question, of course, is it's on everybody's mind. How have you guys handled the pandemic? That's one of the big ones.
I think we fared a little better than most, to be honest with you. We were able to put our best on one of our best years possible through 2020. And I don't think anybody really planned on the home theater explosion that happened in 2020, but demand for product went absolutely through the roof.
It really did.
We're showing really, really good numbers in 2021, so we're pretty happy with our penetration there. And I think a lot of that's got to do with our management's ability, not only our factory's ability, but our management here in the United States. Fred Zecca is the department manager, just making sure that we had product in the channel available for our customers and sourcing all those parts that are impossible to get right now that everyone's hungry for in the industry.
So you guys actually went ahead and got out there ahead of other people and hopefully surplused some of that ahead of
a little of that was luck, but also we managed to source it a little better than I think a lot of people have.
Yeah, we've kind of been in the same boat with you. The market has, during that time was an interesting time. I'm sure most of our dealers that are watching or our integrators and other people have noticed that everyone went home and did work from home stuff. And what are you going to do when you're at home? You're going to possibly upgrade what you have there. And we saw just a huge surplus of demand of all of these types of products. And so I know we saw like a huge demand for all of us. We were worried that it was going to tank, there at the very beginning, but
I think all of us did.
Yeah.
I think all of us did, and it exactly went the opposite.
Yeah, exactly. Just straight opposite for it. So, okay, so now this isn't the first shortage that we've seen. This is something that we've seen happen before. Do you think that actually, pardon me. No, let me back up to that. It's not the first shortage, but that's not really where I was going with that. How do you think the part shortage is affecting the industry, like overall? Do you think it's causing major hiccups for everybody, or do you think we're going to see like an expansion? How's that going to happen?
I, in my personal opinion, I think it's going to get a lot better very, very soon. By very, very soon, I mean by the end of the year, we should see all of that stuff, the semiconductors that everybody's looking for, the ASICs chips that everybody's looking for. And it's not just us, right? It's anybody in the electronics industry that's looking for parts. You can't build a Ford F-150 right now. Right. Receivers are like gold. It's impossible to get a nice receiver right now.
Yeah.
So it's not just us, it's the entire electronics community.
Yeah, that's for sure. Like the receivers are one of the big things that I've seen. I've had dealers tell me that they're taking old receivers out of people's homes that are, HDMI 1.4 or 2.0 that are, 5, 6, 7 years old. The person upgraded and they're saying, well, it's still a working receiver, so I'm going to put it up on eBay and make basically all of the money back on this piece. And so
it's insane. You know, in that same vein, last year, I had my Yamaha receiver went down just because it was really, really old. I needed to upgrade it anyway. So I went online, went on eBay, and usually you can buy these things for like a used one that's a couple years old for $100, right? It was $300 for their entry-level receiver that was 3 years old. I mean, it still had HDMI 2.0, which is what I needed, but you're absolutely right. It's impossible to get these things, and the secondary market's exploded on them.
Well, and I know that there are some manufacturers out there, and I'm not going to name any names or anything like that, and they're taking full advantage. No, not you guys. You guys are doing really well. I'm actually really proud of you for this. But there are manufacturers that are taking advantage of that shortage, I think, and jacking up some of the prices and stuff. And like I said, I'm not going to name any names or anything like that, but I got to say that what we are trying to do on our end, and what I've seen from JVC anyways, is you all are really trying to keep it available to the integrators, to the people that are actually buying the equipment out there. And the only price increases that we've run into on our side is just literally just the cost of material to make this stuff. And so unfortunately the price goes up, and that's where that comes from, for us anyways. And so it felt like that's what I had seen from JVC quite a bit. You don't have to get into any numbers or anything like that, but that's kind of what I've noticed.
We haven't changed our prices since the beginning of the year, and that price change was for one particular projector, the LX-NZ3. We actually lowered the price on it.
Wow,
because it's a DLP laser projector, and that projector came out the year before, and we always kind of plan on lowering it a little bit, but availability was really good on that at first, and obviously it's still hard to get now, but
I mean, of course, now that we're at basically the end of it, hopefully one of these days they'll open up some factories. So
a couple questions.
Couple questions
over here. Mark wants to know if you're talking about the Geoff from the UK. Geoff Mark from the UK.
Jeff Mark.
Jeff Marks from the UK? No, it's our Jeff. It's JEFF. Marks, that's here in the United States, has been with JVC for, and I'm going to screw this up and he's going to get mad if he finds out about it.
He's watching it right now, I'm sure, too.
Oh, no, he's not.
No.
Probably 20 years, I think he's been with JVC, or 18 years, somewhere in there.
And then Mark's next question was, dealer projectors have been his favorite, but how's that going to compare to laser?
DLP projectors versus the laser projectors?
DILA.
Oh, DILA, pardon me. DILA. So he's asking, he's used DILA, and then he's wondering about his jump to
I think I understand what he's
the
asking.
laser, yeah.
So one of our, and I think it came out 3 years ago, one of our projectors is DILA, which is liquid crystalline silicone technology. So that helps us with all of our amazing contrast, but it's also laser. So that's a 3,000 lumen projector that we still have in our current lineup. And so that one is doing both. So there's emerging technologies all the time with laser.
So I'm in a really good position right now because I am pretty dumb when it comes to projectors. I'll be perfectly honest with you. Most of the jobs that I was doing when I was doing installations was a TV set and and a small 5.1 surround sound.
90-pound flat plasma.
Luckily, not. I didn't get into that. Now I did say that we've one of our sales reps in here, Austin. He has family that still has the old Pioneer Elites. He had access to one of the original Pioneer Elite plasmas that had the 1.3 chip in it for HDMI, and he offered it to me, and I'm like, wow, that's, if nothing else, it's a museum piece. And I looked at it, and I'm like, no, that thing weighs like 300 pounds. I'm not going to move that or anything. So, anyways, yeah, no. For me, it was just mostly just the panels that it's. I've only been in the industry for 6 years, so I'm still.
You're still young. You're
yeah,
so fresh.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. Come on.
You're not Brent.
Yeah, exactly. I'm not older than Dirt Brent, right? It's okay. We say it live all the time.
He says it live.
He does say it live. So with that, it's mostly just been, putting that stuff up. So I guess the question that I have then, a little bit of education for me to help me out a little bit. What is DILA? What does that mean? Directed
Image Light Amplifier. It literally is the technology that's based around giving you the image onto transmitted from the light source.
Okay.
And I'm oversimplifying quite a bit, but having LCOS, having liquid crystalline silicone, is a technology that JVC helped pioneer a long, long time ago. And that technology helps us have really, really dark black contrast levels while still maintaining some really good brightness. There are other people out there that have made a variant of it. They have liquid crystal. I completely just blanked out. Liquid crystalline quartz.
Quartz, okay.
So there's some variants out there of it, but our technology for sure, that's what we're known for.
Yeah.
Is our contrast levels.
Okay, very cool. So the DILA is really just the method that it's getting the picture from the sensor inside onto the screen itself.
Yeah, the type of technology we're incorporating with the LCOS.
Got it. And then of course now we're into the days of it's not now, it's been around for a little while anyways, but the laser projection. The jump up to that. Are we seeing any new technology after the laser technology? Am I allowed to ask that question?
Are you asking if there's any up and coming light sources past laser?
Yeah, maybe.
It's something that we're always working on.
Okay.
I would not say that I would expect to see that anytime within the next year or so.
Okay.
But it's always stuff that we're working on for sure.
Cool. Okay. Well,
laser is kind of the new hot.
Yeah.
You can make it bright and you can still get color and contrast, then you're in good shape.
And you get some really good contrast on those. I know I've seen some A/B comparisons like at some of the shows and whatnot that you can see, okay, here's the traditional style where you got a lamp and everything in it, and then over here you've got the projector, and it's like you're going from a projector screen over to like an actual TV panel. It was really interesting to watch that, to see that difference one to one.
If you're doing that and you're looking at it those side by side and you really want to see the difference.
Right.
With lasers, they can have infinite to one contrast ratio, right? So it's infinite to one. There's nothing in this universe that's infinite.
Right.
So essentially, it doesn't shoot the light at an area that has darkness.
Okay.
But if you want to look at something called native contrast, as rather than dynamic contrast, try to get to the pixel right next to the brightest pixel on the screen. And the difference between those two,
that's the important spot.
will be the important spot, because otherwise that can all wash out. So That's what you're looking for real darkness, is the pixel right next to. How much can I control that light? How much light can I get into that one spot and not bleed over into the next to make it really tight and good contrast?
So I'm going off notes here for just a second as I'm asking these questions, and again, if I get into something that we're not familiar with, we'll veer back in there. So that's really interesting. Looking at the idea, I like to learn as much as possible. So you'll be a wealth of information for me. So that's really interesting, because projectors being a reflective medium that you're looking at off of some kind of panel of some kind that's up on the wall or a screen or whatever, that really does play an effect to it, because if you have the laser, then you've got one laser point that's for one pixel, that's pure white, and then you have the laser point next to that where it's black, where they just don't turn that on. So then at that point you can get a little bit of a bleeding effect. So you have really a lot to contend with between the projector lens and the screen, then reflecting back to the person who's watching it, their eye. So you've got a lot of an effect to deal with there. Is that right? That's like
it's a little simple the way you said it, but it's exactly accurate.
Okay.
It is, you're really worried about the contrast that's next to the brightest pixel in the world.
Got it.
Like, I mean, this is great. This is actually a great example right here. That's a hyper bright white.
Yeah, for the logo.
Metra,
yeah.
and then that pixel right next to it's super dark.
Yeah. Now with this, it's easy to do because it's a panel, because this is the light source. There's no reflection. There's no anything. You don't have to contend with much of an environment. It's just giving you the light sources as if you were looking directly at the projector lens itself, which you don't want to do that. But have you done that?
No. Well, I mean, everyone's done it.
Everyone's done it at least once, right?
I had a couple.
Got some more?
George has two of them. One technical one seems one.
Hey George,
like a
Mammoth George.
The technical one is, can laser light source be replaced, or is it a fixed light on the projector?
Oh, so like the bulbs, is that something that's...
Yes, you can replace the laser diode system. Now, generally speaking, and I can't speak for every manufacturer because I don't know every one of them, but generally speaking, they're sealed systems. So if the laser goes bad, you have to take the whole laser out and then put in a new one. But most lasers, and not just ours, but a lot of other people's lasers, are doing really high output, like 3,000 lumens and 20,000 hours of lamp life.
Versus like a 200-hour lamp that you would see in a traditional style.
Or a 2,500 or 3,000 hour lamp.
Wow. Yeah.
Or 4,500 hour lamp.
Yeah.
But those lasers are doing 20,000 hours. So that's...
You're 4Xing them,
And
yeah.
by the time your laser needs replacing, and that's by the time it gets to half-life, after you've been using it on full blast. So by the time you really kind of see a difference, you're definitely going to need a new projector or a new... I mean, things will be very different.
So that's really interesting. Now, you say that's the half-life of that bulb then, or when
it's the estimated half-life of the engine.
So, and that's at full bore. That's all the way out there. That's wide open. So when they're doing that, then in most cases in a home theater setup or even a semi-professional theater setup, they're not going to be having that projector at full bore, a white screen for hours on it every day.
It says it's 833 days with a 24/7 use.
Wow.
That was quick.
That was yeah, definitely. Wow, that 800. How long?
833 days.
And for 24/7 use.
Running it nonstop.
And
no one's running a projector nonstop.
Now wait, hold on. Is that the math on it? Is that what he did the math on it for that?
That's 20,000 hours, I assume.
Okay.
I didn't do the math either, so I don't know.
Listen,
it sounds good.
That's just over 2 years, almost going on 3 years for something for using it something like that 24/7. Listen, if you need a projector for 3 years continuous use, I feel like something else is going to give out before that projector gives out, before that light source gives out on that piece.
Well, I don't think you could leave a flat panel on 24/7 for 3 years, right? Won't the backlight go out?
Yeah,
usually?
exactly. So that's actually really cool.
His other question, or his other statement was that they've been arguing all the time between reflected and direct light LED versus projector. Other than the initial cost, how do they deal with that subject?
Oh, that's I'd like to give my opinion, and then I'd like to get yours on that if you don't mind.
Please.
So I feel like for when it comes to the panel versus a projector and a screen, I feel like for me the deciding factor has always been size, because I can get a projector of good quality. Let's not say best quality. This is the laser projector that's top of the line and whatever else, but of good quality on a much larger screen for a relative decent price versus what I would get on a panel of that same size. I'd either have to go into the professional market where there's no bezel and do multi, screen setups for something like that, or I'd have to pay $20,000 for, was it Samsung or LG that has that massive 102-inch screen of some kind. So for me, anyways, it's been the size of what you're working with. What's your input on something like that?
It's not just that, right?
Okay.
It is more affordable, and you can't go 140 inches on a flat panel right now. You can't go 150, 180, 200 inches on a flat panel. You can do one of our lesser expensive projectors on a 140 to 150 inch screen all day long. It looks fantastic. With a little bit of light control in that room and the proper screen, it's very close to as bright perceived brightness as a flat panel, and you can't get them that big, right?
Yeah.
And they're huge, and you can hit a button and that whole screen just motorizes up into the ceiling.
Yeah, you've got that part of it. That's cool.
But there's more.
Okay.
There's more, and I
like
could go
this.
on and on and on about this, and I'm not going to because I have a problem with that. But there's been a lot of research out there that talks about eye fatigue and your visual acuity when you're looking at a reflected surface rather than a direct image.
Yeah.
So your eye fatigue you gain eye fatigue after a little while from looking at a really bright direct image, and that's gonna kind of like when you're listening to loud music, it kind of mutes everything just a little bit.
Yep.
That same thing can happen with your visual acuity.
That makes a lot of sense, actually. I mean, we have the viewers can't really see a whole lot, but we have these LED panels up here that give us lighting for the camera and whatnot. And I can definitely say that if I was looking at those panels, now I can look at them, but eventually my eye is going to start hurting. But that's a direct source, something like the display we have behind us here. If I had like a very bright scene that was always playing and looking at that, face on constantly, my eyes are going to get tired and they're going to, start hurting eventually. So having a reflective surface, there's been like tests and scientific work on that to where seeing the reflective source is actually a little bit easier on the eyes.
There definitely has been. Now again, a lot of people don't necessarily feel passionate about
Sure.
that, but that is definitely a large group of people. The reason why they gravitate towards home theater is that reason. There's less eye fatigue, it looks nicer, it's a much larger image, it's more immersive. That's generally speaking why you would rather have a projector rather than a flat panel.
Gotcha. Very cool. Any other questions?
That's it for right now.
That's it for right now. Keep them coming, guys. These are great questions. We love hearing from you. Okay, so let's get back on track a little bit then. So we talked about what we when I first opened it up, we talked about how we're getting closer to CEDIA and everyone gets a little bit more tight-lipped and stuff. But can I ask this question? Are you guys going to CEDIA?
We are definitely, I'm very happy.
Yes.
Very happy to say
Yes.
that we're going to CEDIA.
Yep.
I can't wait to get out of the house. It's nice just to come here.
Yeah.
But going to CEDIA and getting to see all of our customers, a lot of manufacturers are going to be there that I know of.
Right.
So manufacturer-wise, I think it's going to be packed. You guys are definitely going. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. We're going. We're actually. We are definitely going. We are just like you. We are super excited to get out of the office. We actually our management just recently opened up our reps to start traveling again. So they've already taken full advantage of it, and most of them have flown the coop to go visit rep dealers and installers that they haven't seen in a year and a half almost for some of them. And so they're super excited about getting out there and doing that. And the show for CEDIA, we are super excited about it. I mean, we are definitely going.
You guys always have a really nice booth and a really nice display. If you're going to CEDIA, stop by Metra.
Yeah.
Please stop by Metra. It's amazing. It's better than any of the other displays for that type of product. And if you happen to be in the area, you could stop by the JVC as well.
No.
I guess I gotta go really get the check stroke.
Yeah, I mean, come on, you really got to make sure we got enough. Go talk to who you need to talk to. No, honestly, yeah,
You do have a nice booth.
I appreciate that, I really do, and
It's a lot of work. I see how much work goes into building that
This
thing.
will be the first year that I'm going to see the booth. I'm still new to the company, so this is the first time that they're letting me go and take a look at it and help set up. And you and I were joking about this before the show about how I'm excited about going to help set up the booth. What you all don't see a whole lot is the setup process before the show for all that. So we'll see how it happens. It'll be a lot of fun. I'm excited about it. I really am. I know a lot of our dealers and stuff have looked into coming and are going and whatnot. What do you see for attendance wise? Do you see kind of something similar?
I feel good with dealers. Now, they've all seemed to sign on fairly late that I've noticed. The thing I think we're going to see a little bit less of is the enthusiasts. And we've always had this huge fan base of home theater enthusiasts that want to come and see the latest product and or the latest firmware update or whatever that we're doing. I think we're going to see a little bit less of that kind of floor traffic, which makes me a little sad because I really love those guys. But I do think dealers are going to be there in full force, and I know manufacturers are definitely going to be there.
Yeah, we're seeing the same thing. We're seeing a lot of the dealers that we talk to a lot. Right now they're hemming and hawing a little bit to see if they may or may not. I think everyone's kind of curious to see how the world is doing around that time, and we'll see and most of them, actually a lot of them have said that yes, they are going, and so I'm super excited about it.
Yeah,
so we'll see how it turns out, right? Okay, so now comes the heavy question. What are y'all showing?
I can't tell you. That is strictly confidential, unfortunately.
So look, I tried, right? I mean, I got to try.
It's a valid effort.
Right, so, okay. I will say that we're showing some cool stuff, but again, I'm not going to tell you what we're showing, so I can't tell you yet. But no, seriously, check out the JVC booth. Go see them first, get them out of the way, and then you can... No, I'm kidding.
Come watch movies with us and hang out.
See, there you go.
Popcorn, candy.
Are you guys going to have popcorn there?
No,
Oh, shoot. Darn, it got me all excited. Do you know what booth number you're going to be at?
I don't have it off the top of my head.
Okay, I cheated.
Thanks for the pressure.
I know. Yeah,
that.
exactly. I cheated because I have it over here on mine, or I have mine anyways over here. So we're going to be at booth 4200. So definitely come check us out. And of course, we will point you over to where the JVC booth is. You are going to be there, right?
Absolutely.
You specifically are going. Go check out. Go ask for Patrick. Every person who's watching this show, go ask for Patrick only. Don't talk to anybody. No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding. Go check out the JVC booth. Go talk to everybody who's over there. They're a wealth of knowledge and they're wonderful people over there. I will say that. You guys are great and have always been helpful for us.
Got some talented people, that's for sure.
Yeah, definitely.
They're so talented they made me look okay.
See, there you go, right? Yeah.
Pretty impressive.
Yeah, it makes you look pretty good, right?
It lifts me up.
Okay, so since we can't really talk about product that's going to be there that you guys are showing off, I know you guys have some really cool stuff that's coming. I don't know what it is. I've been alluded to that it's some really cool stuff. But other than that, where do you see the projector industry going? Do you see something cool coming along the horizon or something industry-wide that's coming along?
Well, I do. I obviously 48 gigabits per second delivery is going to be very important. I don't want to step on your toes, but I realize that's something that's been on the forefront of Metra's mind.
Yep.
So it's something that if you don't do, that you're going to be behind the fold within the next year or two. So, and it's not just for doing 8K, which we'll talk about more, but it's not just for doing 8K, but also gamers now are starting to use projectors because it's such an immersive experience to play a first shooter in front of a 110, 120, 130 inch screen with no eye fatigue. At 4K, 120 hertz. You're going to need to be able to transfer that data, and that's where you come in. Obviously, the rest of us are going to have to put those kind of inputs on our projectors eventually, but I believe that that's going to be something that's on the forefront within the next few years.
Now, that's actually something that I'm kind of interested in myself because I'm a gamer. I do PC gaming and stuff, and the idea of having a much larger screen that I'm used to working off of with doing that is really fascinating for me because that would be super immersive to play like shooters and racing games and whatever else on that. That would be really, really cool. Now, I'm going, so with that, do we have any other questions or anything come in?
No, but I did a little research. Does booth 3302 sound right?
That sounds right. Booth 3302.
3302.
Come see JVC. Thank you. I appreciate it.
Thanks, Brandon. Okay, so do you think, well, you already kind of said it, but how important is 8K going to be in the future?
Well, resolution's always going to be important, in my opinion. I think everyone's always going to look for the highest resolution. If you're sitting really far away from the screen or doing a 100-inch or 110-inch screen, is it going to be that pivotal? No, not at all. But that's not really what we're seeing. We're seeing trends in the Northeast and any place where property is as a high premium at the moment. People are building smaller theaters, and I'm talking like 10 by 12 rooms, 10 by 14 rooms, and putting their seating distance really, really close to the screen. And they want the biggest screen they can possibly fit in this room, right? They want it wall to wall. So when you do that, when you get really close and you have a really big image, 8K is going to be important.
Well, that makes sense, because as you get closer to this, to a screen of any resolution, eventually, especially if it's a much larger one, you're going to get that screen door effect. You're going to start seeing the pixels, the individual pixels on whatever screen it is, whether it's a panel or projector or anything, right? I mean, that's kind of what the problem is. And so if you're able to pack in more pixels into that one screen, then that helps things out, because then you can get much closer to that. I mean, do you think we're going to be able to see much smaller pixels than what we're already at? I mean, are we going to go?
Well, I mean, for example, if you're talking about a 160-inch screen and you're looking at 4K and you're 6 feet away, 5 feet away, might it look a little bit soft? Depends on your eye, but it might.
Yeah.
So a native 4K projector, while it can do 140-inch screens and 6, 8, 12 feet away, no problem.
Right.
When you're talking about a much bigger screen, yeah, I do. I think you'll start to see some softness, and the real home theater enthusiasts don't want to see that. They want to see the sharpest possible image they can have. And with them building smaller home theaters, they get much closer. We're going to need more resolution. We're going to need you to transfer the data. Please.
We're there, right? We're doing it. We've got 48 gigs. We're making it happen. And actually, that's something that I'm really curious about to see is, as we get into the 8K, the 4K 120, and the demands of the 48 gigs and stuff. I mean, it's we're seeing on our side a lot of the fact that a projector is in an interesting location, because in most cases it's either up on the ceiling or it's on a shelf in the back of the room. Most of the equipment is 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 feet away, and you have to get that information from there up to the projector. So
we need you.
Yeah. Gee, thanks, guys. No, I'm kidding.
We need you more than anybody else does, that's for sure.
Yeah. So when we talk about the picture itself and the picture quality and how all of that works, ISF is something that comes up a lot. We don't, on our side of the world, of the industry, we don't deal a whole lot with ISF directly, because again, all we're doing is just getting the signal from one place to another in most cases. But you guys have to deal with ISF a lot. Do you have any projectors that are ISF capable or ready or anything like that?
Currently, all the DILA stuff that we mentioned before is ISF compatible. So it can be, if you get a certified ISF calibrator in there, they can calibrate the projector, and it's got enough control to be able to do that.
Okay.
And nothing beats that, as having a really good eye and a really good calibrator go in and color match and tune that projector to your particular home theater. Nothing beats that. But that being said, JVC also on our DILA projectors has free software that you can download, and it does an optimizer itself, essentially. So it does like a color calibration. It's called AutoCal. So it does a color calibration for you based on your theater. Does it do as great as somebody sitting down and parametrically adjusting every little bit of your projector? No, but it's pretty darn close. And our projectors honestly look good out of the box. Yeah. When I do demos, I just crack them open and throw them down. We don't calibrate them usually at all. I mean, at CDA, we'll do calibration and that kind of thing. But I do demos all the time, usually like 40 or 50 a year, and we just crack them open, light them up, and then they look good. But you do the auto calibration, or you get an ISF calibrator in there, it'll make a big difference.
Now, when you say calibrator, is that an actual person that's coming in and doing this, or is there a
That's
device
a trained
or something?
Dude.
A trained dude.
That's a trained dude. Now, with the auto calc that we have, you need a device.
Okay.
And it tells you what kind of device on our website, and it varies per projector a little bit. But that device is usually a little under $200 on Amazon, and you use your AutoCalc software. You set it up in front of the in front of the screen. It's actually designed for photo, actually. Okay. So it measures light inputs and color output and that kind of thing. So that device is set up. You have to have a laptop, and it's PC based. Sorry, Mac people.
Oh boy.
Sorry.
Yeah.
You run the software, and it calibrates it automatically. It's nice.
That's really cool. So is it all automatic? Does it make the changes to the projector directly, or does it tell you what to change on the projector?
No, it makes them automatic.
That's awesome. That's
I mean, there's a little bit of work that you have to do to get everything set up right, but yes.
Very cool.
It's automatic.
Nice. Very cool.
The experts said that most clients don't like the ISF calibration, and Mark followed it up with they don't like paying for it. And the experts said when we did it, they didn't like it, even when they paid for it.
Well, that's a very
Hurtful thing to say. No.
Well, so just like with audio, I think the video is a very personal effect to it. Somebody who is more, keen-eyed, or maybe that's the wrong way to put it, but someone who wants that look is going to want that look, and someone who is not used to that look, like for instance, I forget who it was that I was talking to. It might have been Brent or somebody else, talking about how their father was used to seeing the TV a certain way, with the contrast way up, or the color way up, and so everything was super green and whatever else. And what they would do is whenever they bought a new TV, they would do that. They'd turn the color way up, and everything was saturated and green and whatever else. And that's just how they liked it. And so it seems like it's a very personal thing for that.
It is. I want you to think of it, you mentioned audio, I want you to think of it kind of like a perfectly flat EQ curve in a home or in a car. So if you get a real-time analyzer out and you try it and you put in pink noise, so every frequency is represented the same volume level at the exact same time, and it's perfectly flat, that's going to give you the closest representation of how the engineer that went in and did all the work wants you to see it. A lot of people don't want that. A lot of people hit the loudness button, which spikes bass and spikes treble.
Sure.
And some people hate that. Some people are like,
Yeah.
that is way too harsh.
Yeah.
The industry a few years ago had these titanium dome tweeters and everything. And they're really, really, really bright. Now they've gone down to textile tweeters by and large. So, and that's just a little bit smoother transition and roll
Right.
off. So not everyone's going to want an ISF calibrated projector, that's for sure. They're going to want to try to get every last little bit out of that projector.
So with that in mind, then, is that something where maybe it's worth it to have somebody come in ISF and that kind of gives you that nice, I hit my mic, a nice even starting point? Is a starting point a good way to put it, to where then you can then tweak it from there? Or do you think ISF is more of something where it should be ISF'd and then left as is?
Well, ISF would love me to say that, but it's not inexpensive. It does take, it's time consuming to get it right. And the idea of having someone that's really trained well and really knows what they're doing and getting in there and making it perfectly flat, or as flat as it possibly can be, in your home theater, and then you go on, I like to jack up the green and the red, and I don't know if I would suggest that.
So that's kind of a nice way to put that is the cost for it. But having that piece, if you were going to, so if we're going to go based on, and I'm going off topic now, if we're going to have an ISF trained person come in, do that, spend the money to do that, I think I'm going to want to keep it like that. Look, I just spent good money to have a trained person come in and give me ISF.
You're going to take pictures of every setting, because if something happens to that projector, anybody's projector, if something happens to it, or you lose, well, not lose power for the most part, but some projectors do lose power at that point, and then you reboot the thing and
it's all gone.
It's gone.
Yeah.
Right? So almost all these guys take pictures of every single setting.
So for that, I'm going to leave it alone. I think for me, if it was something where I'm getting like that $200 or $300 part that's going to do it for me and use that software with it, I think something like that would be really handy to have as the starting point. Because yes, it's still good money. I'm still spending $200 or $300, and then I'm sorry, the software for that, is that from JVC? Is that something that's?
It's on our website. It's free.
Yeah, that's part of it's free.
In fact, all of I don't know if everyone's familiar with our NX series projectors, the DILI projectors. We, over the last few years, have been giving free software upgrades. So there's new software technology that's improved your existing projector. If you bought it 3 years ago, 2 years later, now you're going to get the Theater Optimizer. The year before that, you're going to get a Frame Adapt HDR, and that's great technology to have for free, and it also builds in value for that customer.
So anybody who's done JVC projectors in the past, or if you've done any of the software, or even if you haven't done the software, it's probably worth it to reach out to JVC and see about getting that software and getting that done, because that would really kind of re-up what you already have in there, kind of a thing.
For a customer, or if you're a CI, if you're a custom integrator, and you want to reach out to that customer again and make sure that they're doing okay, and say, hey, by the way, I can also swing in and do this upgrade.
Very cool. Very cool.
And it is an upgrade, not just an update.
Oh, and with that also, that kind of is another way for you, the installers, the integrators, to have another option for, hey, look, I'm already here. If I'm going to be there to service something else or work, add something else, hey, while I'm here, why don't I go ahead and do this? And guess what? That's more labor hours. That's more time that you can bill for something like that.
And you get to look around their house, and you're like, hey, we can upgrade that living room setup too if you want, or whatever reason.
There you go.
George says, please talk a little about ultra short throw lens and potential advantages / disadvantages.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's a really good. Do you have?
We currently do not have any short throw projectors in our lineup.
Okay.
And there are multiple reasons for that. Honestly, we've looked into it. We've spent a lot of time on it, but we're not going to do it until we can get something with what our customers expect from us. So
Sure.
They expect insane contrast levels from us. They expect insane color from us. So we're not going to be able to bring that to market until we're ready to bring it to market, and we have product in line that can do DILA kind of beauty and still be ultra short throw.
Very cool.
And I feel like that might be going away a little too, because ultra short throw, its limitations right now are right around 120 inches, and flat panels are getting huge.
Yeah, we're up to 109, 110 inches for flat panels, and they're beginning to become decently priced. I say decent; they're still 10 grand.
It's still going to be hard to get a 140-inch flat panel
that's
in
for
someone's house or shipped somewhere.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
That's going to be difficult.
So.
And then John says, any chance we're going to get to the lead question? Where is the projector industry going?
Well, and that was kind of we kind of talked about that a little bit earlier, about where we see the industry going. Is there any one specific direction that we see things going?
Well, obviously, we already talked about processing speeds. You're going to need to have a projector that does 4K 120. 8K is going to be just around the corner. We're going to need to see that as well. Color gamuts only increases every single year, so we're getting a better share of the color gamut. Contrast levels, it's always a fight to keep them up and then fight the brightness at the same time. So the brighter these projectors get, the harder it is to do contrast on them. I'm kind of butchering that, but that it's definitely a challenge at that point. So one of the ways we can do that, we talked a little bit about lasers, right?
Yeah.
So lasers are getting brighter and brighter. 3,000 lumens in 20,000 hours, that's bright, right? So I think these are all things that you're going to see. I mean, not just across the projection field.
Sure.
You're going to see more lasers. You're going to see hopefully higher contrast ratios. You're going to see faster transfer rates. You're going to need to have 8K.
Yeah, well, and with all of that, it kind of feels like the industry as a whole, when it comes to the projectors, is really going towards like you said, the lasers. I'm sure the DILA is going to continue to be an option. The push for 8K, the 48 gigs, I think that's really kind of where that part of the industry really is going, and really the rest of the industry is following along with that, and we're getting into the much higher data rates. You mentioned 4K 120. I think for sure Brent and I have our own personal opinions on certain things, of course, as I'm sure you have heard and the rest of our viewers know. But the 4K 120 really kind of seems like where a lot of people are going for better picture. Because at 4K 120, we can get 444, we can get, the 12-bit, we can get all of that stuff, and at a higher frame rate. And 4K, in a lot of cases, is still really good.
140, 150-inch screen at a normal distance, 4K is beautiful.
Yeah.
The projectors we sell now, the NX5 and NX7, are native 4K projectors. The NX9 is a native 4K projector that does 8K shift. So it gives you 35 million pixels on the screen, but it does it with pixel shifting technology.
Yeah, and that pixel shifting technology is actually really cool. You and I were talking about it before the show, and just how that works is really interesting, where it's just kind of jumping it down and over and filling in the gaps in between to give you that 8K image for essentially it's nearly there at 8K.
Right, it splits it by time, so you're not seeing both those pixels on the screen at the same time, or all four of those pixels on the screen at the same time. So it's there a fraction of a second, so you do detect it, but it's not physically on the screen at the same time. And it does it intelligently, so it looks at the pixel here and the pixel next to it and makes an intelligent decision of what the one in between is going to look like.
So it'll actually make it be, if there doesn't, well, so with that case, then, is it taking a 4K picture and upscaling it to the 8K?
The NX9 has a 4K input, and it does upscale to 8K.
Very cool. Okay, very, very cool. Okay. So you talked about the optimizer and the frame, or I think you mentioned a little bit of it, but the optimizer and the frame adapt HDR. What is that? Are we allowed to talk about that?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
This is software that we have out now that you can download for free and put into your NX5, NX7, NX9, RS1000, RS2000, RS3000, and even there's a version of this for the RS4500 that you can update to get some HDR improvement on it as well. But Adaptive Frame HDR came out a few years ago. Essentially, what it does is it makes either a scene by scene like HDR10 Plus, or a frame-by-frame analysis, which is what ours does. It can do either or. It depends on your setting. But it'll do a frame-by-frame analysis of the brightest pixel that'll be generated on the screen, and then the darkest pixel that'll be generated on the screen, and it makes sure it operates within those bandwidths. So it kind of equalizes the projector, if you will, for the optimum brightness level without crushing the blacks, and vice versa, having the darkest, inkiest blacks with having the brightest pixel on the screen at the same time. So there's other companies out there that have, like HDR, HDR10 obviously is one that has that as well. Dolby Vision's another one that's out there. But this is something that we have that you can download onto a projector right now for free, and then it'll upgrade that. Also, the Theater Optimizer that came out last year, this is really cool.
Yeah.
Because everybody, not everybody, tons of people, tons and tons of people are taking these projectors and putting some ambient light rejecting screens in their living room or in their great room, and a screen motorizes out of the roof, and you've got a 120-inch screen in front of you, and these screens do an amazing job. JVC doesn't make these screens, but there's companies out there that do an amazing job of rejecting all the ambient light except from the direction that the projector's shooting light from. So you get an amazing picture without having to have the Theater Optimizer. But with the Theater Optimizer, it will literally take the information that you input, the size of the screen gain. It even does throw distance and keeps track of its own lamp life, how many hours are on the lamp, and it adjusts itself as best it can. It EQs itself as best it can for your theater, for your individual custom theater.
Very cool.
It is incredible. It makes a huge difference.
So really, it seems like taking that software, the Frame Adapt HDR, taking the ISF software and that little $200 or $300 part and stuff, we can have some pretty awesome pictures on these projectors in these spaces that maybe aren't perfect for a projector. And get some really good quality stuff out of that. I know for myself, I would want to do something like that to where I've got a panel for every day, and then when it's movie night, I have something come out of the ceiling, and now I've got a projector screen.
Drops down right in front of your flat panel.
It's perfect for that.
And then you watch whatever movie that you want. You get to see it on a reflected image. You get to see it theater optimized. You get to see it with HDR.
Right.
You get to see it a much larger screen, more immersive.
Nice. Well, I think we're finally getting to the end of our show today. We're right at about 50 minutes, and so we've really packed in the time for this and a lot of good information. Do we have any other questions or anything like that?
No.
So now's your chance, guys, as I wrap this up. If you have any other questions, go ahead and put them over here in the chat section. Or if you are watching this after the fact, feel free to leave it down in the comment section below, and we'll react to respond to those, I guess, maybe. We'll respond to those as well. If it's a question for Patrick, leave it down there as well, and I'll make sure that gets over to Patrick and get a response from him for you, and we can go from there on that. But Patrick, again, you're going to be at CEDIA. We're super excited about that. I'll be happy to see you there.
I can't wait to see you. We should go out to dinner or something.
Yeah, might as well, right? I mean,
you should come too.
That's where it's at.
Come on down.
Yes. Come on down. And you're at 3302. So go check out the booth, 3302. Metra will be there as well. Metra AV will be there at booth number 4200, so 4200. So not super far away, although this is my first CEDIA. I am so excited about this. So
we usually try to keep you guys fairly close.
Yeah, exactly. So we're excited about that. There's that person that I don't know his name, just walked into the room. What's up, Jason? So everybody, thank you so much for checking out today's episode. It's an inside joke. I apologize. Thanks, everybody, for checking out today's episode. We really appreciate you checking in. As always, I'm Adam. With me today, special guest Patrick Seibert.
Seibert.
I pronounced it right the first time, right?
Matter.
Yeah, that guy. So we thank you for checking out with us today. As always, any other questions before I sign off?
Mammoth George said, thanks, guys.
Oh,
it's
our
good to see you,
pleasure.
Mammoth. Thanks for coming into the chat.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Yeah. As always, everybody, reboot early, reboot often, don't cut your wires too short, turn off CEC, you didn't hear that part, and call tech support. So, other than that, we'll see y'all next time.